迎第四组由法律系林奇瑞、廖和安以及王义明3位同学带来的 War on Drugs: Taiwan vs. Portugal。
我们掌声欢迎。
When it comes to drugs, pictures of violent drug cartels and AIDS outbreaks almost immediately wash over our heads. To avoid these pictures becoming a reality, countries around the globe have taken an uncompromising attitude toward drugs, and drug usage became a target under this framework. But could there exist an alternative to combat drug abuse? In Taiwan, drug usage constitutes a criminal offense and could lead to incarceration. Portugal, however, took a rather drastically different approach by decriminalizing drug possession and encouraging treatment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wang Yiming.
My name is Lin Qirui.
I'm He An.
Our presentation today aims to address the topic of war on drugs by comparing the two different approaches taken by Taiwan and Portugal, as well as their respective effects.
We begin our presentation with a general picture of Taiwan's drug policy. The flowchart above should provide you with an insight into what we call trilogy for drug addicts. An addict charged with drug possession for the first time will be sent to treatment facilities for medical treatment. If the addict shows no signs of recovery from addictions nor willingness to improve his or her own situation, the addict will be put behind bars. Despite this wide acceptance by the general public, the effectiveness of these programs is questionable, as demonstrated by the following figures. In Taiwan, more than 40% of the addicts who had undergone treatment recommitted drug-related crimes and were subsequently put behind bars. What's even more appalling, drug users remain likely to relapse to drug abuse after their release from prison, with a recidivism rate as high as 50%. When 1 in 2 drug addicts is destined to return, it is no exaggeration to say that prison is like a revolving door for drug addicts. Furthermore, according to a report of the Agency of Corrections in the year 2015, most of the people in the prison were not murderers, robbers, thieves, nor rapists, but drug addicts. The ramification of our drug policy left us a question. What elements contributed to the failure of our drug policy?
In terms of treatment programs, without sufficient budget and qualified professionals, these programs are limited to only physical approach and medications, whereas psychotherapy is hardly available. Without confronting the psychological factors that lead to drug addiction, once these addicts leave the treatment facilities, they are likely to suffer the same tragic fate. The social stigmatization of the criminal offenders presents another major problem. After being locked up in prison, these convicted addicts gradually lose their interpersonal network. Without emotional support from their friends and family, the stigma adding insult to injury, these ex-offenders often experience difficulties with starting a new life. Consequently, many of them resort to drugs again to cope with their pressure. This leads them back to prison cells. Many addicts continue to be trapped in this vicious circle. Portugal were plagued by similar uncontrollable social and health problems ignited by drug abuse in the 1990s. However, in the year 2001, they responded with a health-based approach instead of a criminal one. Possession of illicit drugs continued to be outlawed after the passage of the decriminalization bill in 2001. But the new legislation made the act an administrative violation and provided a passive voluntary treatment as an alternative to sanctions. Under this new framework, individuals who are arrested for drug possession are referred to the Commission for the Dissuasion for Drug Addiction. in which the individuals will be interviewed by a panel consisting of an attorney, a social worker, and a psychiatrist. The panel will then decide what measures best suit the individuals. For example, the panel may decide to ban the individuals from acquiring firearms, or require the individuals to report to the commission periodically. As you can see, these measures imposed on the individuals are meant to protect them and to protect the community. Besides, in the event that the individuals accept rehabilitation, sanctions will not be given to them.
The Portuguese government identified addicts' fear of criminal prosecution and the subsequent stigmatization as the greatest barrier to addicts seeking treatment. The rationale behind the new policy was that it would lift that barrier and thereby creating an incentive for addicts to seek treatment. And that was exactly what happened in Portugal. In 2001, from 2000 to 2007, the number of people in treatment leaped from 6,000 to 25,000. While there has not been any significant increase in drug usage to speak of, deaths from drug overdose experienced an 85% decrease. The number of new HIV infections among drug addicts has also dropped significantly. Heroin users decreased by half, and most of those who remained addictive are now undergoing treatment. The achievement of this new piece of legislation is truly remarkable. While uncertainty continues to linger about taking a similar decriminalizing path in Taiwan, it is beyond doubt that the current course has not borne fruit. The idea of decriminalization as a method to combat drug abuse may sound counterintuitive, but in practice, it may be the way out. It is high time that we begin a new dialogue on how to combat drug abuse. Thank you, everyone.